Bone Tomahawk, directed by S. Craig Zahler, isn't just a Western. It's a fusion of the Western genre with folk horror. Set on the American frontier, the film explores cultural fears and the consequences of spreading so-called civilization. It challenges the romantic image of the West by using body horror and the troglodytes, which are cave-dwelling figures who represent society's fear of the other. On the surface, Bone Tomahawk follows a familiar Western setup. A quiet town is attacked, and a group of men go on a rescue mission. But beneath that, the film explores fear of outsiders, people seen as threats or as existing beyond the limits of society. Unlike traditional Westerns, which often celebrate violence and rugged individualism, Bone Tomahawk shows the brutality of frontier life. It doesn't hide from scenes of torture and death. Instead of glorifying conquest, the film reveals the cost of expansion and the pain left behind. For decades, Westerns have portrayed white settlers as the heroes, bringing order to a dangerous land, while casting indigenous people as savages. This story helped shape America's identity and justified violence in the name of progress. But this view ignores the damage done to indigenous communities and erases the culture that was destroyed. In Bone Tomahawk, the troglodytes represent this fear of the other. They are shown as inhuman, violent, and completely outside society. Their portrayal mirrors how groups like the Taliban were shown after 9/11, hidden away in caves outside the bounds of civilization and treated as pure threats. The story of civilization versus savagery is not just a thing of the past. It comes back during times of crisis. After 9/11, the idea of an uncivilized enemy was used to justify war, surveillance, and new security laws. Fear became a tool to shape public opinion and push policy. The film draws clear connections between the troglodytes and how the media portrayed groups like the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Both are hidden in caves, both are described as completely separate from modern society, and the fear they create is used to justify action without questioning where that fear comes from. This kind of fear-based storytelling is common in the folk horror genre. The genre often explores cultural anxiety and moral panic. In the 1989 Australian film Celia, similar ideas are used to comment on the Red Scare. It shows Cold War fears through a child's eyes, using horror to reflect how society reacts to threats it doesn't understand. In Celia, communists are shown as an invisible threat, always present but never fully seen. This mirrors how terrorists were portrayed after 9/11. The film shows how fear can be created and aimed at a group to justify control, discrimination, or violence. It reminds us that fear can be used as a weapon. Both Bone Tomahawk and Celia ask us to think about how society creates monsters. Whether it's communists, terrorists, or so-called savages, these films question how much of our fear is real, and how much of it is built to protect power. They challenge us to think about who we label as dangerous and why. By blending Western and folk horror, Bone Tomahawk questions the very idea of civilization. It asks us to look at the history we celebrate and the fear we still carry. Every scene forces us to confront violence, not as an exception, but as something built into the stories we tell. In the end, Bone Tomahawk reminds us to examine the stories we believe and the monsters we create. Myths about the frontier may survive, but so do the fears behind them. It's up to us to question those fears and look closely at what and who we choose to fear. Thank you.